started right now. Thank you all for being here today. We're here to represent NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We're the largest grassroots advocacy organization for mental health in the United States with over 600 chapters nationwide. We're here with our Next Gen program, the 18 to 25-year-old advocacy group for youth who want to advocate for better mental health. And today we're here to recognize all the work that they did, but we're also here to promote a lot of the bills that they want to promote. And speaking of, we have a champion of one of those bills standing right here, and we're going to let him kick off today and talk about the Constitutional Amendment bill.
Thank you so much, James. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. First, I want to thank NAMI for the amazing advocacy work that they do all across the state. I partner with them on a number of initiatives. I want to thank all the young leaders and the young advocates who are here advocating today and taking ownership of their democracy and their government. Their advocacy is vital, and certainly hearing the perspective of the next generation is vital. So we want to thank them for being here, for their advocacy on a number of bills. One of the ones that we're going to talk about has to do with parity. Back in 1938, at the Constitutional Convention, I know this may be inside baseball, New York revised its constitution to say that New York may fund behavioral health services. I think they called it back then mental hygiene services. We now know today that mental health is health. Behavioral health is health. There should be no differentiation between behavioral health and physical health. And yes, there is. After decades of disinvestment, we wonder why we're on the precipice of a behavioral health crisis, especially among our young people. And so it is vital that we pass legislation to address this gap. What we're talking about is a constitutional amendment to fix that 1938 change to the Constitution to mandate parity in funding for behavioral health and mental health. We have had a number of, at the national level and the state bills, a number of parity initiatives to drive parity with behavioral health. We still see time and time again that it is on the insurance level that we're not seeing parity, and that far too often the resources are so low. For instance, if you want to see a pediatric psychiatrist in New York State, good luck finding one. They are few and far between, and that's in large part because private insurance does not reimburse services at the same rate that Medicaid would. So it's incredibly important that we pass this constitutional amendment. The process is the legislature passes it 2 years in a row, and then it goes to you, the voters, to decide. But we believe, and many New Yorkers believe, that parity is and equal rights for behavioral health and physical health should be the same. So again, I want to thank NAMI for your partnership, for all you do. I want to thank the next generation of behavioral health leaders and advocates for being here today. You did an amazing job. Good luck today as you walk around the Capitol. And I want to thank you and good luck with your initiatives today. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, sir. The Constitutional Amendment has been one of the bills that this group really wanted to advocate for. But our next speaker will be talking about one of the other initiatives, the Youth Justice Innovation Fund. We know, all the folks behind me know, that the folks with behavioral health issues need solutions, not suspensions. They don't need to be kicked out of school. They don't need to be put in juvenile detention. If a youth has a mental health issue, we want to address that. We want to get that into the program early. And so next, we have Assemblymember Gabriela Romero.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hi. So my name is Gabriela Romero. I am the Assembly member for the 109th Assembly District. I represent here the City of Albany. I also represent the town of New Scotland and the town of Guilderland. I am really proud to be here representing my district. I'm also the youngest woman elected in the New York State Assembly right now, so it's really awesome to see all these young advocates here. Really excited to be here talking about this really important topic of mental health and youth mental health as well. I know I don't have to preach to all of you about the reality of the mental health crisis, especially the mental health crisis that our youth are facing today, because I know that we're all here with NAMI, and you are all doing incredible work all across New York State. I believe really deeply in the power of boots in the ground, nonprofit work, and the immense impact that it has in our communities and the lives of young people that are struggling. And that's why I'm really proud to be the lead sponsor in the Assembly of the Youth Justice Innovation Fund. And this bill would take $50 million of the $250 million that is allocated towards the Raise the Age Fund that will help youth that are arrested in our criminal justice system. Many years ago, we changed the age of criminal responsibility. We raised it so that children that are arrested, when they are arrested, are supposed to be inundated with resources, because when a child gets arrested, they should be we should be taking, exactly, thank you, Assembly Member Joanne Simon, an advocate for mental health resources, thank you. They should be embraced, and they should be inundated with resources, and we should be looking at the root cause of that behavior, because they are a child. And what the Youth Justice Innovation Fund is supposed to do is take 50 of that $250 million and give it right back to the boots on the ground organizations doing that community-based work and address exactly what is needed in the community. And that will include mental health related resources, that $50 million, because we know too many young people are slipping through the cracks because they can't get access to the support that they need early enough, because the organizations doing this work are oftentimes maybe forced to operate without the resources that that organization even needs. So, you know, the previous speaker mentioned we can't continue to treat mental health care as an afterthought. So often when mental health care is at the center of what a young person needs to succeed. And so what the Youth Justice Innovation Fund is supposed to do is address those root cause issues, give it the funds that it needs, and make sure that the people that are on the ground are really inundated as well with those funds and resources. So I'm really honored to be at the forefront of this fight with my colleagues behind me, with a really passionate group of people that are also caring about embracing young people, making sure that they get the funds and the resources and the help that they need. Because at the core of what we're trying to do here is that we understand that people, especially young people, deserve the resources that they need to thrive. And we want to figure out what that is. Is it mental health resources? Is it additional care for school? Is it just a mentor? Is it after school programming? That's what that $50 million is all about. So we're gonna get it done this year. There's a lot of really good momentum actually in this budget process. Maybe the budget's gonna get passed this week, we don't know. But we're here, especially today, with the people behind me to see that we're gonna get it done with the Youth Justice Innovation Fund. So I'm really appreciative to have y'all behind me with the strength and the passion and the advocacy. Thanks so much to NAMI for also joining this coalition. Let's get it done this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking today. Obviously, this youth and justice mental health and justice share far too much overlap, and that's one of the things we hope will address this issue. Our next speaker is chair of the Assembly Mental Health Committee and has introduced a number of bills around youth and mental health. We want to invite her to speak next.
So thank you, James. Thank you to Assemblymember Romero for your fine work. It really is important. And thank you to all of you folks for coming here today. You know, we have learned the hard way that when we don't support young people, we all have trouble down the line. It ends up costing us that much more, not just financially, but in the lives of the people who could have succeeded much more. They could have had happier lives. They could have had more productive lives. But we didn't give them the supports that they needed at the time they needed it. And so this is about our next generation and recognizing now is the time for us to provide young people with the services and the resources and the supports that they need so they can go on to lead happy, productive adult lives. That's what this is about. This year's budget, we are doing teen mental health first aid training in our high schools. It's an enormously important program that we'll be putting into this year's budget. But also, as I believe previous speaker talked to, we are not giving parity. We're not really funding mental health services as much as we have physical health services, right? And that is both a constitutional issue as well as a statutory issue. And so one of the bills I carry is that you can't discriminate against people in insurance by not funding mental health services or by underfunding mental health services. That is a sort of a class-based discriminatory tactic. And we know from years and years and years that people just don't think mental health is that important. But it is increasingly important. We do have a mental health crisis. And what's interesting to me is that everybody is talking about it. And that is a good thing. It's a bad thing that we have a crisis, but it's a good thing that people are recognizing that we have a crisis. It is a good thing that folks from XYZ labor union come up to me and say, we all need mental health support, all of us. Walking down the street, I am appalled at the stuff that I'm seeing, and I'm appalled at the stuff I'm hearing on the news. I'm appalled at the difficulty it is to get health care. So everybody knows we need to do this. This is the year that we really need to put our shoulder to the wheel and make this happen for New York, for our future, for these young people and their futures. So thank you very much, NAMI, for inviting me to speak. And let's try and get that bill across the finish line. Also, my bill would like to get across the finish line. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you again for attending, ma'am. Thank you for all your hard work for mental health, not just on the youth front, but in every front. Today's, again, our Youth Next Gen Advocacy Day, our day focused on those who are 18 to 25-year-old doing their advocacy. So we're going to start giving them the chance to speak in the microphone and share what they feel. Start with Vanessa. Are you ready?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much again for having me. My name is Vanessa Lopez, and I'm a senior at the City College of New York, preparing to graduate in the coming weeks as the 2026 salutatorian of the Colin Powell School. Okay. Thank you. Growing up in the Bronx has shaped every part of who I am. It has humbled me, strengthened me, and built my resilience. The Bronx is more than where I'm from. It's my foundation, my community, and my purpose. As someone who has faced their own mental health struggles at the age of 14, it has taught me firsthand how one's mental health is often overlooked or stigmatized. Witnessing this in my own community only deepened my mission and drive. I found my voice through organizations like NAMI, where I connected my lived experiences and advocacy to access for mental health care. Through opportunities like these, I have learned to turn my lived experiences into purpose. As a proud Bronx native, I am committed to empowering the next generation, ensuring that the young people feel seen and also feel equipped with the essential tools to support and prioritize their mental health. Being a part of advocacy spaces like NAMI allowed me to feel seen and heard, and it gives me the strength and courage to be the voice of my community. This work is personal because we are investing in the mental health of our youth and adults. Most importantly, investing in the future of the communities all across New York State. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking, sharing your story. That's what Next Gen Advocacy is about, is making sure those youth voices get heard. Our next youth voice, Tracy Wayne. Okay. We'll go ahead and have our next speaker actually be Eliza while she goes and gets her notes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate you all for being here. My name is Eliza Lopez, and I'm a New York State Next Gen advisor, but my name and title is merely half the story. That is, I label myself as an advocate because I support the idea that mental health care is an inherent right for all, not an earned privilege exclusive to those of a certain status. In that vein, my work in youth advocacy shares the same roots as my own lived experiences. They are two branches of the same tree, they are inseparable, and they are both powered by the same fundamental human need to support ourselves and others. If my work is just half the story, then the second half is the heart that propels it all, my actual lived experiences connected by that same branch. I have experiences with the K-12 school mental health system, and as a young person, I struggled with self-image, rumination, intrusive thoughts, and compulsions. Growing up, the youth around me also held similar narratives. For instance, a student from my hometown completed a suicide in my middle school years, and I'd hear of suicidal ideation among my peers. It was an experience that I was also no stranger to, as back then, I couldn't fathom the idea of living past 18 years old. To this day, I refuse to frame my mental health experiences as a deficit. Pain and purpose often coexist on two sides of the same coin. So instead, I see those experiences as an asset. I've been able to take part in advocacy days just like this, call for support on timely mental health legislation, lead a health and medical education organization that has reached over 40 countries and over 2,000 students, and support 20 behavioral health innovations through my work with intergenerational co-creation programs. My experiences allow me to understand the necessity of advocating for legislation like the College Student Suicide Prevention Act, which provides the training opportunities, prevention resources, and crisis interventions that students and I would have benefited from, or the S-5024 bill that requires the Department of Education to develop school mental health professionals to student ratios in public schools. These requirements would have provided me with more attention and consideration as I was referred to and navigated the school mental health system with a provider that was spread thin. Institutions should not work in silos, and I believe NAMI New York State's Advocacy Day creates that common space between young people, professionals, allies, and policymakers to democratically share the concerns and urges that our population carries within the mental health crisis. This cause is not one-dimensional either. I stand here as a woman of color, first-generation American student, with a cultural background that dismissed mental health discussions with substantial shame. These identities collectively and uniquely shaped my lived mental health experiences and fair access to care. With that, we all represent numerous identities that intersect with mental wellness, whether as a marginalized group, part of different generations, and others. Everyone's positionality in relation to mental wellness is important and needs to be represented at advocacy days just like this. In my work, I'm guided by a quote by activist Ijoma Aluo, and I hope it resonates with you all too. When we identify where our privilege intersects with somebody else's oppression, we'll find our opportunities to make real change. Let these experiences radicalize you to be present in this movement as we can all progress mental health reform together with the nuance and thought that it deserves. Thank you.
You know, the danger of an advocacy day like today is the speakers often say it better than I do, and it's my job, so that's unfortunate for me. We'll move on to our next speaker for Next Gen, Tracy Wang.
Awesome. Thank you for this platform, everyone. My name is Tracy Wang. To preface my speech, I would like to say it is thanks to my sociology class that I am able to see the broader socioeconomic, cultural context surrounding all of our identities. Shout out Cayuga Community College at Auburn as a transfer student pursuing nursing, and Hunter College for my freshman experience as a native New Yorker. So my identity is made up of so many different pieces of life events, of life experiences, of my family's history, of this country's history, of this world's history. I was never just a blank canvas going through life and personally making the choices of what life experiences I want painted on me. That is to say, I was born already into a tailored identity mosaic shaped by every historical event before me. Understanding that my identity is one influenced by society and built just like pieces of a mosaic helps bring my focus away from my heightened emotional sensitivity and internal world. I thought it was just me as an individual forging my own life decisions or choosing what kind of experiences I paint onto me, as promoted by America's individualist culture, but that is false. Our existences are shaped by something much greater than ourselves and our plain free will. There is this quote written by C. Wright Mills in the Sociological Imagination, 1959, "Neither the life of an individual nor the history of a society can be understood without understanding both. That's why we cannot leave the younger generations to fend and fight for themselves in creating a future, one filled with hope and promise. We must join the fight along with them for their futures and for the collective future of humanity as well. As a 20-year-old first-generation Chinese American woman, I really had to consider my own identity, especially in relevance to the future of the United States and the increasing polarization of acceptance with racial diversity, but also how that identity has shaped the important mental health conversation in my own family. Growing up, I took on the role of teaching my parents the importance of mental well-being, taking care of their mental health as opposed to them taking care of mine, leaving me and my older sister a profound and exhausting burden. I'm sure that you've all heard of various first-generation stories, speaking of children having to have grown up relying on themselves and championing their own way through life, like stumbling through a mountainous wilderness, afraid and confused on which way to go, having no roadmap or a guide, having to bridge the language gap for parents, as well as mastering the language English, having to navigate the world as our own parents, and carrying the weight of the external world, as well as in the familial space and our own internal worlds. The immigrant children's story speaks of children trying to build our own selves while giving our heart, body, and soul to care for those we love, of trying to find enough time to share with those we love, but who have a finite time here on earth, of trying to find success in our future while struggling to be there for our aging parents and family and community, of learning and improving English at the same time as trying to bridge the language gap between immigrant parent and child, and helping them develop a strong connection to the new country they now live in. My parents are hardworking people, but they are ill-equipped to support many of my needs in life. Since the beginning, I have been taking care of my emotions as well as theirs. I scramble to give them mental health resources, only to find I can't, to no avail. The lack of mental health resources for immigrant families is apparent. It is a wide issue that we still need to tackle. Intergenerational trauma is a real thing, and a serious one at that. Caught between being the parent to my own parents, the parent to myself, adopting the mom-friend role in my own friendships, and then finally, building a life for me of stability and happiness is a responsibility largely invisible to the public eye, yet intensely heavy and also empowering. This is not just my personal story, as there are so many other people who can relate to this growing up, whether they are first generation or not. We need to support our first generation youth and youth from every background, and that means supporting the mental health of their parents too. Right now, I have a wonderful therapist, but not every youth has accessibility to a good therapist, and maybe not everyone feels comfortable with a therapist, but we cannot let our youth rely on AI to support their mental health needs. In today's extremely politically polarizing and globally paralyzing world full of negative news, the youth population is in dire need of more mental health resources supporting them. And such resources should also be sensitive to the different socialization between men and women. That is why I am here today with NAMI New York State Next Gen to advocate for improved policies in supporting youth mental health. There is this quote that says, "All language is but a poor translation" by Franz Kafka. But may I say this, may we join our hands together and support each other where the systems are failing. Thank you.
Obviously, we'd be here. I wish we could have everyone here speak today. I do want to give a special shout out to NAMI Rochester, who joined our NAMI Next Geners. To our NAMI national organization that gave us a grant to help organize today. In closing, we just want to remind everyone, mental health is help. If you need help or support, we have helplines at each of our affiliates and with our state and national organization. And we want to recommend every legislator here today listen to this and remember all of the bills that we spoke about. We do think that it will make a meaningful difference in youth mental health. Thank you for coming.